Let's make a program to display the results of throwing two six-sided dice a bunch of times in a graphical way. Let's start by importing randint, which will give us random integers. And then we'll make a loop to go 100 times for now. And we'll say the outcome gets the sum of the first die throw plus the second die throw. And we need a way to store these outcomes. So let's create a list called outcomes. And we're going to initialize it to zeros, to 13 zeros. We need 13 places, even though there are only 11 different numbers that can come out, 2 through 12. You'll see why soon. Once we get the outcome, which is an integer, we use that to get into this list and add 1 to the position in the list that corresponds to the outcome. So we say outcomes sub outcome plus equal 1. And then at the end, let's just print all the outcomes and we'll see what we get. So we run this and we got no zeros. Of course, it's impossible to roll a 0 on 2 dice. We got no 1s for the same reason. We got 2 2s, 7 3s, 4, 5, 6, 18 7s, which we should expect because there are more ways to roll a 7 than there are to roll a 2 or a 12. Now we want to display this in some kind of graphical way. So we need to set up some kind of loop. And I want to have like a column of numbers, 2 through 12, and then a colon, and then a little bar graph showing graphically the number of times that particular outcome was rolled, followed by the number. So here we go. We're going to need the outcome index and the outcome. We're going to use enumerate, and we're going to use a slice from outcomes, and we're going to start the count at 2. And then here, we'll print, we'll use an F string, and first we'll do the outcome index. And we want it to be 2 digits wide, always. You'll see why. And then we want a colon, and then we want this bar graph. So we're going to make the bar graph out of asterisks. We're just going to use the fact that Python can create a long string by multiplying a shorter string by an integer. So here's where the outcome comes in. Okay, and that needs to go inside these as well. And then finally after that, we're going to have the number itself, which is just the outcome. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Ah, nice. There's the result. So we got 3 2s and 27s and 3 12s. And if you run it a lot of times, this gets pretty close to what probability would predict, kind of a bell curve type of shape. Let's run it with 1,000 now. And it should be symmetrical if you do it enough, you know, 1 million or 1 billion times or maybe more. But that's the general shape. Okay, so what have I presented here without explaining? This is actually, let's run it through the debugger first. So put a breakpoint here, run under the debugger. This is a pretty good way to look into the environment and see what's going on. So outcomes is this list. We've initialized it to zeros. This is a handy way to make such a list of multiple occurrences of the same value. And then here we have a loop that goes 1,000 times. So let's start first time through, calling randint twice, summing those values. We got an 8 this time. You can see the 8 here. You can also see the 8 here. And then we go through and finish all that. So let's put the next breakpoint down here and then run, and then we'll continue the execution. So now we're here and we've got the outcomes list built. You can see it's got values in here. So let's now see what enumerate does and what this slice does and what this 2 here means. We need to skip the first 2 elements. We don't care about those. There's no way to throw a 0 or a 1. So that's what this slice does. It says just start at position 0, 1, 2 and continue to the end. What does enumerate do? Enumerate takes a sequence like outcomes, which is this list, and it gives you each element of it in turn, but it also gives you a number corresponding to it. And normally the numbers start at 0, so you would get 0, 1, 2. If you add this second optional argument, when you call enumerate, you can say that you want it to start counting at 2. So that's why, when I advance here, you can see that the outcome index is 2. And the outcome for the 2's is 37. And then we print the line that's appearing over here. I need to give this a little more space because those bars are going to get bigger. And then here come the 3's. You can see this down here too. And so on all the way to the end. There. Okay, so you've seen pretty quickly how to create a little program that simulates throwing 2 6-sided dice a bunch of times and graphing the results. See you next time.